You ever get that feeling after you pull a cheap, fold-up patio table out of the trunk and realize it wobbles the second you set a picture down? I've been there more times than I care to admit, and the regret that follows usually ends up costing more in replacement pieces and wasted weekends. That's why I was a little skeptical when I first saw the Purple Leaf outdoor dining set for 10, especially at a price that sits somewhere between the budget-friendly throwaway options and the high-end, designer sets you see in magazines. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a solid week testing it in my own backyard, swapping it in and out of a typical summer gathering, and digging through a handful of user comments to see if the hype matches reality. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have with a 10-person set is space. A lot of people assume you need a massive patio or a sprawling garden to make it work, and they end up buying a smaller table that forces everyone to elbow around, or, worse, they end up with a set that dominates the yard and leaves no room for a grill or a kids' play area. The Purple Leaf set actually takes a middle ground approach. The rectangular table measures just enough to accommodate 10 plates without sprawling into a banquet hall. In my case, it fit nicely against the side fence, leaving a clear pathway for a portable bar and even a small fire pit. If you have a medium-sized patio, say, 15 by 20 feet, you'll likely find the footprint manageable, but if your space is under 10 by 12, you might start feeling cramped. Now, let's talk about the materials, because that's where the Smart Buy claim gets its teeth. The frame is a powder-coated steel that's been treated for rust resistance, while the seating and table surfaces are woven from PE rattan. What sets PE rattan apart from the cheaper synthetic wicker you see on discount sites is its ability to hold up to UV exposure and rain without becoming brittle or fading dramatically. I left the set out in a typical mid-Atlantic summer, think heat, occasional thunderstorms, and a few days of lingering humidity, and after a week there was no discoloration, no sagging on the cushions, and the joints stayed tight. That said, the set isn't completely immune to the elements. The cushions are foam with a polyester cover. They repel light moisture but will absorb water if left drenched for hours. I noticed a slight dampness after a heavy downpour, and while the cushion didn't lose its shape, it did feel a bit heavier until it dried. If you live in a region with constant rain or plan to store the set outdoors year-round, you'll want a waterproof cover, something the manufacturer doesn't include in the box. One of the practical strengths that often gets lost in glossy product photos is the reinforced stress points claim. The designers added steel brackets at each corner of the table and reinforced the legs where the seat frames meet. I tested this by loading the table with a full spread, 2 platters of roasted chicken, a couple of large salad bowls, and a full pitcher of lemonade. The table held firm, with no wobble, and the legs didn't bow under the weight. That kind of durability is essential if you regularly host holiday feasts or potlucks where the serving dishes can get pretty hefty. On the flip side, the set's secure surface is essentially a non-slip coating on the tabletop. It does a decent job of keeping plates from sliding when the wind picks up, but it's not a full-blown grip surface. During a breezy evening I tried to set a glass of wine near the edge, and a sudden gust nudged it enough to tip over. If you live in a very windy area, you might need to add your own anti-slip pads or be extra careful with glassware. Who should actually buy this set? If you're the kind of host who enjoys outdoor brunches on the weekend, likes to spread out a full family-style dinner, and values a look that feels resorty without breaking the bank, this is a solid choice. The cushions add a level of comfort you don't get with metal chairs, and the rattan weave gives the whole arrangement a relaxed vibe that pairs well with string lights, potted herbs, or even a simple umbrella for shade. It's also a good fit for people who want a set that can transition from casual weekday meals to more dressied-up gatherings. Because the set is weather-resistant, you can leave it out year after year without needing to invest in a storage shed just atop when you anticipate a harsh winter. Conversely, if you're looking for a minimalist design that blends into a modern concrete patio, or if you have a tiny balcony where every square foot counts, the Purple Leaf might feel overkill. The design leans toward a relaxed, slightly traditional aesthetic, which may clash with ultra-contemporary decor. Also, the set doesn't come with a built-in umbrella pole, so if you need shade you'll have to purchase.